Hey Green Family Camp, it is Uncle Jared coming to you from Dallas, Texas. So usually on Saturday nights when we're at camp, we all get to spend the evening around the campfire site, celebrating Havdalah, roasting s'mores and marshmallows, and having a great time. While we can't do that this summer, I'm going to show you how you can build your own campfire at home. Wherever you are, you can always have your own little campfire. First and foremost, the most important thing is to be safe. And some of the ways that we can be safe is we should always ask our parents' permission if we can build a campfire and where we can build a campfire. Some of you have fire pits at home. Some of you have blocks of bricks at home or ways for you to make fire pits, and those are all really great ways to do it. Tonight, I'm going to be building a campfire in a fire pit, so it works out really great for me. Secondly, you should always do it with your parents' supervision. So once you get permission, make sure that they are there with you to help supervise and make sure that you are being safe. Third, and one of the most important things about the physical campfire, is there should never be anything over top of you. And the reason why is we don't want it to catch fire once the fire gets big enough to reach that. So those are some of the really important things. Some other things to note is if it's really windy outside, it's never a good idea to build a campfire because the wind can pick the campfire up and blow the flames really big, sometimes in places we don't mean for that to happen. And if you're able to, if you've got a campfire or a fire pit and you can put a lid on top of it, that helps keep the stuff, the campfire and the wood and stuff contained inside of it. So I'm going to go through some of the things that you need to build a campfire. First and foremost, you need a starter. And my starter is going to be paper lunch sacks. So a lot of you have these at home, and a lot of you take lunches to these at home. And if you don't, they're really easy and really cheap to find. Some other things that work really, really well is just little itty bitty tiny pieces of wood or stuff like that. The other thing that you're gonna need is gonna be twigs. So if you walk around your backyard, I promise that you will be able to find lots and lots of twigs laying on the ground, your front yard, along the sidewalk. So you're gonna need a lot of little itty bitty twigs like this. So here's a little handful. Here is a bigger handful of twigs. And then once you get past the twigs, you actually need some little itty bitty branches. These are not so itty bitty though. You can see there's actually some pretty good sized ones. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add these to our campfire layer by layer. Once you've got all this going, you'll need wood, campfire wood. You can use any kind of wood, any kind of chunks. You don't want anything too big to start off because it won't catch fire. But you've got wood in all sorts of places behind your house, along the street, to be able to go pick up and use for your campfire. And of course, most importantly, you need something to start the campfire with. Now, I'm not a Boy Scout or an Eagle Scout, so I don't know how to use my hands to start a campfire, but I do know how to use a clicker, and there we go. So use this to be able to start your campfire. And those are the things you're gonna need to be able to start your campfire. So I'm gonna get us started and show you how to build a campfire. All right, so now once you've gathered all of your supplies, you're gonna take your starter or your little paper bag. I like to open it up, rip it up a little bit, and then you're gonna make it into a nice little ball. So you don't want this to be too tight, because if it's too tight, it's not gonna wanna light. Take it just like this, make yourself your nice little starter, and lay it right down in the middle of where you want your fire to be. All right? Get it situated there. Then, once you've got that in place, you're gonna take your smallest little twigs, and usually I like to take a little heavier one first just to make sure the bag lays down. So we're gonna put that right there. Then you're gonna take your smallest little twigs and you're gonna kind of break them up into smaller pieces and lay them along the side. They're gonna kind of make a triangle on top here. You can even lay some on top. You can lay some down the middle. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be perfect. Ultimately, they're just gonna burn. They're gonna be the start of your campfire. Another important thing to note is you never want to use wet wood because it's never going to work. It would take a really, really long time for the fire to burn the wood out, and the fire won't last long enough for that to happen. So you always want to try to find the driest little pieces of sticks and kindling that you can to make sure that your campfire lights on the very first time. All right, so I've got my little starter pieces here. And then I'm going to come back behind it with some of my bigger twigs and do the exact same thing. I'm going to do that while you do yours. And it's all right if these are a little bit longer, a little bit bigger, you want them to stick out, because as the fire builds, it's going to catch on top and allow your fire to grow. And it's going to be really good for your logs once it's time to put them in. So I know it might seem like a lot of twigs, but you're actually going to want to use all of them, because this will help make sure you've got a really good base for your campfire. One of the really fun things that I love to do with my campfire once it gets going is to roast marshmallows and make some really, really yummy s'mores. So after this, check out all of the cool, funky s'mores ideas that I have for you, and you can show me all your cool, funky s'mores ideas. All right, so I've got all my twigs, all my kindling, all my little itty bitty sticks, all stacked on top of my starter, my paper bag, and we are ready to start our campfire. So, when you're getting ready to start your campfire, you want to make sure you're not downwind. So you can lick your finger, point it around in whatever way the wind is blowing on your finger, and you'll feel it. That's how you know where the wind is. You never want to be downwind, because if you are, just like at camp during the summer when we're at campfire, if you're downwind, all that smoke is going to go right in your face, and then your eyes start to water, and it looks like you're crying, and you're sitting around the campfire site sad, but really you're not. You're just getting all the smoke in your face. All right, so here goes nothing. And there goes our campfire. So, as it starts to burn, and as your twigs start to light and your kindling starts to light, you're going to take some of those bigger pieces that we collected earlier, and that's going to help your campfire really light. You don't want to start out too big too soon, because if you do, they're not going to light, and then your fire is just going to go out. So I'm going to slowly add in some of these bigger pieces here. And this is just like the campfire I like to build at camp during the summer. believe it or not, there's actually different methods to building campfires. There's the TP method, the stack method, the who knows method. You just kind of go with it and see what happens. So there's lots of different ways to build your campfire. All right, so here is the start of your campfire. Once it gets going, and I can feel it, it's really, really hot right now, and it doesn't help because, of course, it's summertime in Texas, so it's always this hot when I build a campfire at camp during the summer. But once your campfire gets going, you want to very carefully, again, with parent supervision, and you might have to ask them to help you at this point, add some of those bigger sticks that you've got. They look like little tree limbs, kind of. Add them on top. So this way they also start to catch fire. All right, so we're gonna let this burn for just a minute. We're gonna let it really get hot, and we're gonna let it catch all those bigger sticks that we have on there. And then in just a minute, once it starts to heat up and you start to see the little white embers on the bottom, the white and red embers on the bottom, that's how you know that your campfire is ready to put some bigger logs on. So we're gonna let it burn for just a minute, and I'll be right back. All right, so our campfire is getting nice and hot. The embers are starting to form. All those twigs and sticks that we put on the bottom are starting to turn white, and it's ready for some bigger logs. Now, before I put those on, there's one super important thing that I forgot to mention. You should never, ever leave a fire unattended. That's because sometimes fires do weird things. Sometimes the wind can pick up really fast, and you just never know. So I was just standing right over there watching the fire while it built up. I never left it unattended, and you should never do that either. You should never leave it unattended. You should always have somebody watching it to keep an eye on it. So now I've added my logs on, and again, you might ask your parents for help with this. You might have them supervise you putting them on just to make sure you're being safe. And here you have it. Here is your campfire for Saturday night. I hope everybody gets to enjoy a lovely Havdalah. You get to join us to sing Havdalah songs and to enjoy your campfire at home. And I'll see you back here in a little bit to make some s'mores. All right, Green Family Camp. So at this point, you have made your campfire, and hopefully it's burning. Mine is pretty small right now because I didn't really want anything big. But we're going to talk about s'mores super quick. So again, always be safe. Ask your parents' permission and ask them to supervise before you go out there. So I've got a cute little skewer here that's probably about 12 to 14 inches long. It's probably a little shorter than what you should be using at home. But I didn't have anything else, and I'm going to be super careful. So, first things first, you got to have your marshmallows. Marshmallows are the best. Everybody's got their own way to do it. You can lightly roast it and turn it over the fire very slowly, or you can do what I do, shove it in, let it catch fire, blow it out once it's nice and toasted. This way the outside is super crunchy, but the inside is still kind of warm and gooey. So that's what I do. So we're going to roast a marshmallow here real quick, very carefully. It's like you're carrying a little fire stick. It catches fire, and then you blow it out because you don't want it to get too hot. And here is your not so nicely but very yummy toasted marshmallow. Now comes the topping. So typically, you'd put it between 2 graham crackers, which is yummy but kind of boring. So instead, I'm going to take some nice double stuffed Oreos, crack them open. So I'm going to take an Oreo here, split it in half, and double stuffed is my favorite. I'm going to take a little piece of chocolate. So I've got a couple different chocolate options. Hershey's milk chocolate, the OG original. Hershey's Cookies and Cream, which I know you all love because that's what goes fastest on Mom Talk days. Kit Kat, because who doesn't love Kit Kat? Pro tip, you can freeze this and they're so good. For those of you that are allergic to peanuts, I'm sorry, but peanut butter cups you can also put inside of your s'more. So I think I'm going to go with the OG Hershey's Original. Crack it open. You don't need a lot. Take a little piece, put it in between my cookies. Now here's the tricky part. You got to take the marshmallow, sandwich it in there, and pull it out. And there is your Oreo cookies s'more with some OG chocolate. I can't wait to see all of your crazy, wacky s'more ideas. Send them in. Let us know what your favorite kind of s'more is, whether it's the OG with graham crackers, double stuffed Oreos, Chips Ahoy cookies, M&Ms, so many options. Have fun.